Love is our true divine nature, and our heart serves as the intersection of the spiritual and physical, connecting our soul with our body as the conduit for anchoring our divinity onto the earth plane. Embodying our divinity is the key to our ascension and to manifesting our highest destiny in this life. The teachings of the heart are alchemy. Join spiritual mentor and channel Jennifer Spohr each week on a sacred journey to lift the veil to remembering your divinity and meet other beautiful souls who are living the path of the awakened heart. Hey everyone, welcome back to the show. I am excited to have as a guest with us today, Nikki Cornfield. She is a certified holistic health coach, reflexologist, Reiki practitioner, yoga and meditation teacher, and now passionately is developing her spiritual healing gifts. She is passionate about inspiring others to find their own soul alignment and tap into their own source of natural health and healing. Welcome, Nikki. I'm happy to have this conversation today with you.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Now that we made it to finally hitting record, I might as well share, it's like real life stuff. The weather is getting warm where I live, which I'm super happy about. However, along with that comes allergies and all of the things. So setting intentions for a smooth conversation with very little edits today. Just throwing that out there to the universe. So I am super excited to have you join us. I'd love for you to share with us more about the work that you're doing, more about what you're up to, and if you feel guided to share, you reference passionately developing your spiritual healing gifts. I would love to hear more about that too.
Probably have to backstory a little bit then.
Tell me all things.
Yeah, well, I had a strong sense of knowing as a child that I was going out on this big journey and searching for something. It was like this sort of feeling inside that there was something I had to find out there. I'm just going to use that reference because I didn't know what that was, and I would go to tarot readers as a child and had this curiosity that I could feel this guidance system inside, but also needed this confirmation. And luckily, my mum was quite supportive and was also keen to come with me. So that started a whole journey, following that wherever it took me. So I was always very adventurous and spirited and doing crazy things, but it was always like this deep trust that, okay, I've just got to follow this. So going forward, this journey's taken me sort of 25 years as an air hostess and then an expat wife supporting my husband's career, and having that freedom of not working for quite a long time gave me this ability to be able to keep following this thread of curiosity. And I would follow it literally, whatever I felt guided to study or learn, or people would come on my path that would show me the next, almost like the next slide, the next picture of what I needed to do next. So hence the reason why I ended up with quite a toolkit, just because of that curiosity. And they all started to link up, and I realized that I have got this guidance system. What is it? It's intuition. I didn't really know about spirit guides then and things like that, but it's slowly been this map that's unfolded, putting these pieces together. And that's where I came to the point of, I felt this book inside me. I needed to write something. What was it? I didn't even know what the message was. And that was spirit guidance. Like, we want to show you that you've now come to this point of wisdom where your intuition, these psychic gifts, we're going to keep developing them the more that you stay aligned on your soul path. And that's what it's been like. It's been this powerful realization that, oh, well, I had all this inside at the beginning, and I was just opening it up all the time. So I knew that then I had to share this with other people. So developing psychic gifts was really starting to, I got curiosity with tarot. So again, that was, this feeling like, okay, this is the next stage, is curiosity in tarot. And I started just to do my own readings and just play around with it, just because, this is really, that's literally what it's been like. Okay, let's turn this next light switch on for you. You need to know this now. And this is how you're going to help other people. So I became very, very accurate and like, oh, okay, I'm really helping people here. So that's where I'm at the moment in a small way, because it's expanding all the time. I'm starting to trust it and go, this is amazing. Like, everyone's got this. They just need to be able to trust it so that they can follow their own soul path. And I'm just a catalyst. People can be empowered themselves. They've all got this within them, but they don't trust it as a guidance system often.
What would be your advice for others to embrace more trust in that? Because how you spoke about freely following that curiosity is so key. A lot of people don't do that, though, because of societal programming, trauma, for many different reasons, right? The fear can take over. What would be your advice to move through that?
It's a difficult one, because it's a huge commitment to the soul path. I really believe that it is a commitment, and it's the recognizing that I'm following this no matter what. So that means shedding a lot of things. It means really being in a quiet space often, and really having to clear the clutter away and distract from the external chaos, because the world is stimulating, especially I find it very, I can feel all the energy of everything. So it's that recognition of self all the time, like bringing yourself back. So it could be anything. It could be, I'm going to commit to 5 minutes just sitting quietly in a room, or I'm going to start yoga just so that I have time to sit and tune in, because it's sitting and tuning into the internal self that's going to, these things start dropping through, the signs, the messages, and it's the ability to recognize them only comes from really switching off as much as possible. And that takes a lot of self-awareness, and I think that only comes in time and with commitment. It's not a quick thing.
Yeah, so, and I feel like the part that feels difficult, right? Obviously things feel difficult when we're resisting change, but I would say there is a time that feels more challenging versus other seasons, and that's really when you're in that space of extracting yourself from the programming and beliefs that have kept you, and unintentionally in many cases, right? Because many people have good intentions for their lives and aren't always even aware of the programming that is in play at a subconscious level. So it can feel challenging to move through that. It's important, I feel like it's important to mention that you do come out on the other side of that. Living a soul-led life isn't for the faint of heart, right? Like you said. However, there you do reach a place where there's more surrender, right? And external circumstances no longer impact you, the way that they did before. I know that's been my experience, and it feels really good to reach that place. And it's not that you don't care, it's more about having detached compassion.
Yes, absolutely. It's an interesting journey, and everyone's journey is individual. We talk about this word journey, we throw it around all the time, but it's so true. Is that we all are on our unique path, and everyone's perception of spirituality and waking up and intuition is an individual thing. And I think you can't just paint this picture of this is how it's going to be, this is the things you need to do, and that's going to be the outcome, because we're all here for a different reason. And it's having that self-awareness of what you're feeling inside, or what is this, where you're getting pulled to, where's the curiosity taking you, and following it, and trusting that energy inside feels very different than another direction where it feels sticky and icky and everyone's trying to send you that way, but this doesn't feel right. And I think a lot of people have shut that feeling out because they've just got so wrapped up in friends' expectations or workplace expectations or all these other things that pull them in all these different directions. And It's us coming back to the middle and going, what does this feel like for me? What do I want? And that takes baby steps, and it takes courage. And it also takes like shedding off a lot of things along the way. It's like a snake skin. Get rid of one, you think, oh, there's another one coming, and it will just keep on coming, and they'll keep on coming. The layers get deeper and deeper, and that's it's exciting in many ways, because you don't know who's the person I'm going to be the next minute, the next day. It's this continual involvement and changing. If you look at it as exciting rather than daunting, it's
absolutely. And we're always empowered to make a choice in terms of how we want to frame those things, right? How we want to frame our experiences. It can either be scary or it can be exciting. And you know, we're also influenced in our environments, in our society, that putting ourselves first, that going within, right, that's a selfish thing.
No, it's not.
Right. It's quite the opposite and inversion of societal standards and programming. Could be a whole other podcast episode on its own. But yeah, I mean, you really are. It's important to acknowledge that doesn't mean that someone isn't capable of moving through it. I mean, that's why we're here. It's amazing that we sign up for all of this.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're all chosen. We're all lucky to be here. And I think when you turn that around, I think it's very easy to get bogged down into the nitty-gritty, the hardship, and all the material things, and lose sight of the fact that, wow, what an experience and what a blessing it is to be here. And why not make the most of it? And then that's where the fear comes in. It's the fear that stops people from taking action, isn't it? As we know, the fear is like this crippling thing that gets in the way, and that's what most people are existing in, is this fear, the fear of doing something different, fear of showing who they really are, and then they just end up in a really unfulfilled feeling life. And I think that's very sad. So look, that's why I'm sort of so motivated to help people to tune in, so that they can really get that feeling of peace and fulfillment, because as we know, it ripples out to everybody.
Absolutely. And very simply put, you know, fear doesn't come from God. Fear doesn't come from the source of your creation, you know, whether you refer to that higher power as God or source or however. It's not of fear, it's of love. So anything that is not from a space of love ultimately falls under the illusion of separation. I believe even just knowing that right, what I just said, and allowing that to sink in, and even just if you're someone who's having a hard time, right, with the journey, it's just like, even reminding yourself about that every day could be a game changer.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I don't know, we could get on this subject of dreams and all sorts of things. I recently went on a trip to India, and this is another example of following intuition. I ended up in India with a random Indian man, and all sorts of things went on. I mean, no, I should start backtrack there. No, it wasn't like that at all. He was a yoga teacher. No, I'm married, so like, it was an Indian yoga teacher, and he actually invited me to India because it'd seen my writing, and I had this immediate connection on an energetic level, and that's what I talk about, trust. Going to India and going, I'm going. I don't know what the reason is, but I'm going. And what's unfolded from that, the soul, the shifts that I've had have been quite profound. And I think that's an example of being very courageous.
Yeah.
and yeah, I could go on about that, but that's been a big part of what's happening at the moment with me, with writing. That, wow, that was one of the bravest things I've ever done, but life-changing. And I really want to encourage people, if I can, to, what does it feel? If it feels right, follow it, and don't overanalyze it, and don't start getting in the nitty-gritty of, oh, should I, would I, or just go do it, because it leads to just these huge transformational periods and shifts. And yeah, that's a whole other book.
Well, and that's how you find your soul family too, right? By putting yourself out there.
Yes.
And I mentioned that because I've been in this space too on my path where it can feel, when you're going through some of these seasons on your path, it can feel like you're on an island, right? So when you're putting yourself out there, then you're calling forward, more of the people that are like-minded, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, the soul family, the people that you would know you've met before, that come on your path for a reason. I see that so clearly now, but it's taken a lot of years to realize that. And writing the book, I connected all these dots of, oh my goodness, that person came along, and that person, oh, they showed me that, and I learned that, and it took me in that direction. And now I really recognize them, and I stop and go, oh, that's like an agent of change. It's a person who's coming along for a reason. What are they showing me here? And it turns everything around. It's like if you approach everything now with what is it showing me? What is it teaching me? What is it showing in myself? It stops that going into the doubt or the procrastination or all the negative things immediately. That's been a big change for me. Again, it's another tool to learn, isn't it? There's a lot on the way. It's
we're eternal students, it's
we're in a big classroom. Yeah,
like peeling back layers, right? I call them invitations to mastery.
that's a lovely way. Yes, agents of change. Yeah, you could call them anything really, couldn't you?
You can call it whatever you want, it's just.
And they tend to come I find they come a bit louder if you don't listen the first time, and someone else comes in, or a small accident or something happens that, not to trip you up, but just to wake you up, I find.
Most definitely. Yeah. Yes. And it can often feel painful.
Yeah.
There was this, maybe it was my own quote. I don't know. I'm thinking of something. Maybe I shared it once before about that, pain is necessary. Like pain is a necessary part of the path, but suffering is a choice. When you start feeling that friction, like you're talking about, right? You feel guided, you don't respond, and then the universe keeps kind of nudging away at you. And then over time, it can get to the point where, you feel like you're being smacked with 2x4 or something. That's where we're choosing, right? Because we're choosing to ignore the call.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
So we can choose not to suffer. We can choose to respond to the pain.
Yeah, it is how we respond to anything, and and being in the victim state just keeps you in the past, and it keeps you suffering. And I think so many people are in the victim stage, but they don't realize they are. And it's all education, it's all experience, and a lot of people need help with that. And I think we're all at different points in our soul path, soul wisdom, whatever you want to call it. And it's not right to judge other people where they are either. I think everyone's at a point where they just are, and it's acceptance of that, and not. I think there's a lot of egotism now in spirituality. Definitely people are starting to, do you know what I mean when I say that? The ego in spirituality. But it becomes a bit like a fashion to be spiritual, when really we need to just embody it. It is who we are. And
yes, when in a way, if you look at it from this aspect, it is a blessing, because years ago, I would say in the collective, it's just like there was even less conscious awareness. And now there's more awareness, and now there's all of this egocentric, what you're saying, right, in some of the spiritual communities, which is true. Yeah. Because the ego, as part of our human self, has its own ideas about what is right, what is wrong, and that's fine, because that's where those people are on their path. There is a place that you reach beyond that where you're able to truly have that detached compassion that I talked about, where you really start to let go of judgment and let go of a lot of the things, that reside in our ego mind, and that's just all part of being here and having this experience. And it's always fascinating to me because we sign up for all of this because all of these experiences are a result, our perceived struggles are a result of karma that we've created for ourselves through the misuse of free will.
Yep.
So that's actually something, I mean, by the time this airs, I will have shared something about it already, but that topic's been just continually popping into my awareness. Like, you need to do a video on this. You need to talk about this because
it's why you may as well do the work in this lifetime, because you'll only have it in another one, and there's no escape from it. So who are we to not have courage and go and do exactly what we feel inside is our purpose? Or why wouldn't we? That's my approach now. It's like the fear just drops away, but it takes time, and there is going to be fear, and there is going to be all these layers of things you've got to work through. But if you look at it in a bit more, I'm trying to look at things in a more fun way. It's all fun at the end of the day, but we look at it so seriously, we take it in such a heavy way. And I think that's, is that societal, is that materialistic world that's made us so heavy with all these? Because in India, for sure, changed perspective for me on so many levels, where I realized that
I can relate to that too. I mean, I've been at this for quite a while now, and I still am constantly reminding myself to, be more playful and be more silly, and because it can feel quite serious. It's just when you're passionate about something, it can feel serious, because there's that sense of urgency, right? Which I know so many of us feel in the transformational time, the very transitional time that we're living in humanity right now. And so it can be very easy to fall into that. So yes. I could talk to you forever about this stuff. I'm loving our conversation. Tell us more about your book, because I know there are pieces that you've shared in your book that are so important to the ascension journey and that are not very streamlined today, in society today. So
I can honestly say that I could talk all day about this, so I'm trying to keep it brief. I felt this book inside, as I've said before, quite a few years ago. And what's the message? What am I supposed to write? It was only when I started to write it that I realized that it was definitely, I wouldn't say the whole thing's channel, but there was definitely some assistance, and there was definitely things I needed to learn as I was writing. So it unfolded as I wrote it, and it became like putting the pieces of a jigsaw. And we talk about now about life being this jigsaw puzzle, that we've got all these pieces and we're trying to piece together, remember who we are. It became this journey of, oh my goodness me, I'm being shown here where I'm up to at this part of my lifetime. And so I did the manuscript in 6 months, 350,000 words, massive. But then I went back and edited it 4 times, and it started to become alive. It started to change. I started to receive more messages, and it was just transforming. When's this book going to start? So now when it's in an editor's hand, she's told me it's 3 separate books, and I've just gone, oh my goodness, wow. This is like this massive project now. And when is this book going to get out to the world? But I've realized that that's not the point. The point has been my transformation so that I can impact other people, but also my family have been changing while I've been doing this book. So I don't know how it's going to look, how it's going to link together, but and I believe there's more to come on the end of the 3rd book, because the transformation and the changes that have happened since have to be included, because I think the spiritual path of the awakening is a process. And there's been 3 clear processes. I think there's been 3 sort of, the traveler, the expat wife, there's sort of this identity loss, but also now how have I done this journey? How have I got to this point, and where to from here? So who knows? I don't actually know how it's going to look. But I mean, I called it the soul's compass, the traveler's way home. But how's this 3 books going to look? I don't know. I'm excited because I just think, wow, how incredible that this has become something very different than I set out to do. I actually didn't really know what it was going to be. So there's that spirit guide. I mean, I've got a whole spirit team that have been helping me with this, and I know that the healing and the health path that I've had as well has been a big part of waking people up to the truth of the health, the wisdom they have inside to heal their own bodies and to stay healthy without intervention from someone who doesn't know your body as well as you do. I think we've become disempowered, and that's a big theme in the book, this disempowerment of our own ability to take care of our bodies and keep well without anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there we go. This year, hopefully.
I'm just thinking to myself, ooh, there's just so many gems in what you just said. What do I want to pull out and talk about? I mean, first of all, I love the title when you reference going home, you know, that's really what it is. I define healing more as remembering your wholeness, right? Like we were never broken. We never needed to be fixed. We all came here to do this, to have these experiences and services to the whole, you know? And so I love what you reference in terms of home and your title. And when you were referencing or mentioning your spirit team, I like picked up on those energies, and I have to share with you, they were, because I'm highly sensitive as well, they were very celebratory.
Yeah, they've been
they're all around you, like celebrating you. Yes.
I know, because in India, I came back from India, and I know that was a big part of the soul path, and there was a lot of cheering when I came back because I know that I'm going to be taking people back there, because this is a big part of what I want to show people, the detachment, the separation we have in the Western world from each other, and how that's not the case in India, despite them having virtually nothing. I felt like I needed to take people back to show them, even though it's uncomfortable being in India. It's very uncomfortable. It's extraordinary, shocking, fascinating, and everything in between. But I feel like people need to see this. So I obviously got to take people back there. I don't know how that looks, but
wow, so wonderful.
Yeah.
So wonderful. You were also talking about the body, and what you said with that is so important, because especially when someone is in the initial kind of stages of their awakening, you know, there's this intense craving for information, right? Because you're starting to see the illusion around, and there's still that tendency to focus in the mind, or even in the upper chakra or the higher realm energies, without having that groundedness and anchoring those awarenesses through your physical body. Obviously we want to suggest that everyone grab your book. And where can they find your book? Where's the best place to go for that?
Well, this is the thing, though. They're still in the manuscript still with the editor, who's separating this manuscript into
two. They're still separating it. Okay,
it's a big job. Yeah, it's a big job. So I think it's just a case of, you know, at the moment there's just me on Facebook and a messenger. If anybody, you know, it really is a case of watch me and just wait. I talk about it quite a lot, and people wait for it, and I say you're just going to have to wait, because this is the journey. This is the perfect example of, you can't rush divine timing. You know, this is not about getting this book out and just having it out there just because I want to be an author. This is a big part of the vibrational energy of my work going out to other people. So it's when I sat in the acceptance of that, went, you know, there's all this, get a book out, and you need to be a publisher, and, you know, I just don't want any part of that. This book will come out when it's ready, and it will be as it needs to be in the time, and so yeah.
Wonderful. So we'll have your links in the show notes, and so anyone who feels guided to connect with you
Yes.
reach out and do that. And I'm sure you have a way to notify people when your book's coming out and all of that fun
It will be on
stuff.
our website. Yeah.
So then, if you don't mind, sharing with us maybe a little something from the book about the body, right? Like you mentioned that briefly, and that's so important. What would be your number one piece of advice that you would provide the listeners in terms of achieving that harmonization and that balance, right? In all of your bodies?
Yeah, I've studied a lot fasting and detoxification and living clean, because that's a big part of clearing the channels is essential for to receive guidance, and if your body is not working efficiently, is not all in harmony, then it's like a rusty antenna. You can't pick up the signal. So I teach that there has to be work done on a daily basis. It's just part of a daily routine to live clean, to eat clean, live clean, exercise, be out in sunshine, fresh air. There's lots of components in natural living, but it's how we keep everything aligned. If one system's out of balance, then they're all out of balance. And I think it's not difficult to take the baby steps to make big changes. But yeah, the body being clean. So I could go into a whole workshop on this.
Well, would you say it's also important to intuitively tune into your body and listen to what it's telling you that it needs? Because even people, even if someone has the awareness sometimes around, eating clean, some of the things that you said, they'll still make those decisions from their mind, right? So there's still a disconnect.
Yeah, the body will whisper, and then it will voice something in a feeling in it. So it's not I like to talk about not ignoring the little niggling signs, because the niggling signs are an indication that your body is speaking to you, telling you something's not right. And then often we mask it. We go and get a prescription, or we artificially try and put a plaster on it. But it's listening to those niggling signs, like, that doesn't feel right. Why? And tuning in and catching it, like nipping it in the bud. And I think a lot of people just there's so much outside that they're not feeling the inner communication. And it's so clever. The body is amazing. It's self-regulating, everything. It's all designed to do everything itself, but we don't treat it with the honor and the respect that it needs. It's
truly, the body is a multidimensional gateway.
It is. It's phenomenal. I think if people respected and loved their bodies as much as it deserves, there wouldn't be all this illness and inflammation and this disease. Like, we're at record high levels of every disease now, and it's totally unnecessary.
Well, that's the resistance to living in alignment with our divinity.
Yeah. So there's lots of work to be done.
It's changing, it is changing. There's more awareness. Yes, we have a lot of work to do for sure. Nikki, in closing, what are you feeling guided to bring forward? And if it's nothing, then that's fine too, but
as in a quote for the day, or just a feeling?
No, just whatever is coming forward. It could be a quote, it could be anything.
I think it's to have appreciation for the little things. I think I've certainly, since I've come back, I've always noticed the beauty and everything, but even more so now, I think to really notice the little things and to stop and be in the present and notice everything. Spend even say 10 minutes before you get out of bed, just go, what am I grateful for today? Because once you start saying it, you think of more and more things, and it can be little things like, I can wiggle my toes today, crazy little things like that. Just get back into the reality that you've got so much. We all have so much. We have so many things. So excuse my dog. Barking. So yes, I think it is. It's stop and smell the roses. There you go. That just dropped in. I love that. It's very old-fashioned saying, but stop and smell the roses.
True. Brilliant. Yes. Well, the embodiment of the rose in of itself is a great example of
the beauty
really
and the
taking everything in, the beauty, the beingness of the rose.
Even like I got back and I got in a car and I was able to put a seatbelt on after India. I just sitting, I'm in a comfortable chair with a seatbelt. I mean, most people would not even think that's anything to be grateful for, but I did. I like, oh, wow, I'm in a car that actually the cars are all going in the same direction and not in both directions and across the road. And then there's cows in the middle of the road as well. I just see everything with this just, wow, notice everything, because they're so precious, these simple things. But we're all just almost on speeding through everything and to the next thing and the next thing. And we're missing the whole point of being here, which is to have fun, appreciate life, see the beauty, and help each other. We're all helping each other home at the end of the day. We're all going to the same home, so we may as well link arms and do this together and not be alone in it. So could ramble on about that as well, but we'll stop.
Nikki, what a treat. What a joy to speak with you.
Thank you. And to you. Wonderful. Yes. Great energy. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us. And just to remind everybody that's listening, we'll definitely have Nikki's info and the links of how you can connect with her in the show notes as well. So Nikki, sending you so many blessings, and so very, very grateful to connect with you and to have this conversation, and blessed to be able to share this with everybody. So thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Thank you for listening to Path of the Awakened Heart. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts or pathoftheawakenedheart.com so you never miss an episode. To learn more about living with an awakened heart and navigating your ascension journey, visit me at jenniferspore.com.